Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Let's build this world from love. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome. Thank you so much, Tami, for sharing your music. It's so wonderful to be here with our clergy team. Cantor Merer has the Shabbat with her family, but Rabbi Jordana Cherna-Reeder, welcome to you. Shabbat Shalom. Rabbi Roxanne Shapiro, Shabbat Shalom to you. So happy that Matt Hastings is here and a number of other staff. Adrian Aronson-White is here. Shabbat Shalom to you. I think still our newest staff member. It's so nice to see all of you, and I'm so happy to have a moment just to run through all of your photos in the gallery view. We can see everyone who's there. Perhaps some of you are about to have Shabbat dinner together and are joining together, listening to Nefesh Shabbat while you do that. Or some of you are here to sing with us, and I can see your mouths moving, even though we can't hear your voices, unfortunately, and be together. It is a little bit of a sadness that we are not in the same space for this beautiful Nefesh Shabbat. But if you can just imagine for a moment that we're in our social hall and that we've transformed the sanctuary from all of us facing the same direction and facing the Ner Tamid, the eternal light, and the ark and our clergy. Instead, we are facing one another, as if to say, as is often written above the ark in sanctuaries across the country, Da lifnei mi ata omed, know before whom you stand. Of course, one way to think about that expression is to think that we are standing in the presence of God, the divine. But how do we know God? How do we really experience God in this world? It's not only the flickering flame of the Ner Tamid. It is in the eyes of one another. It is in the way that we look at one another, the way that we smile at one another. And so having Nefesh Shabbat in this arena of Zoom, it's wonderful to see all your faces. I hope that you'll take an opportunity to go into the chat and wish one another a Shabbat Shalom, a Sabbath of peace, where we might reconnect with Nefesh, with our souls. Welcome to you. And I do want to mention that this is actually a very special Shabbat because in addition to celebrating our community and being together, this is also Rosh Chodesh, our opportunity to celebrate the new month. Believe it or not, the High Holy Days, which began the month of Tishrei, that was a whole month ago. And so here we are, the new month. It's wonderful to welcome Roberta Schweitzer, a member of our sisterhood and all-around volunteer. Roberta is everywhere in our congregation, and we love having you welcome the new moon with us. Shabbat Shalom, Roberta. You are still muted, Roberta.
I am unmuted now, aren't I?
Hi there. Shabbat Shalom, welcome.
Shabbat Shalom, yes. Well, as you mentioned, we just finished the month of Tishrei with our High Holy Days, but we've also maybe need to remember that it's been about 6 months we've been in quarantine. So I wanted to do a little something different this evening than we usually do with the help of Cantor Aviva and Rabbi Brett, just to kind of look at the positive side of all this, I think. In Judaism, we have wonderful opportunities not only to mark the times that are sad, but also to mark the more growthful times. We just finished the holidays, but beyond that, in Tishrei, we've also had Simchat Torah, which is turning of the Torah. So turning it over, just as we have the turning of the moon every month. So there's something kind of positive about that and growthful. Judaism gives us a time to kind of reset our intentions and our purpose and our positives in big and small ways. And so without too much more talking, we have a song tonight. Before I say that though, we are thinking about actually at this time of year also planting for the new year. The harvest is coming. And so we're thinking about metaphorically and actually figuratively planting for the new year. So our intentions as well as the crops in the fields. So to kind of help us remember that potential and possibility for growth that awaits us, we have a little moment here or two of a beautiful little song to help us have a moment to reflect and think about our own intentions for the coming month and beyond that, that we can use to grow and move forward in our lives, as well as deal with the pandemic and everything else. So this little song was written by Beth Hammond. She's a Jewish singer-songwriter from Portland, Oregon. And I came upon this a couple of years ago and thought it was really beautiful. So kind of listen to the words as you go through it. And I will turn it over with a happy new year, happy month time to everyone. Sorry.
Thank you so much, Roberta.
It's called A Sliver in the Sky. The world turns round and around while the sun climbs up and goes down, and the days and nights roll by till we notice the moon's just a sliver in the sky. Each night it glows with possibility, and we dream of all the good there could be as the moon grows big and round. Heaven's blessings of peace find us here upon the ground. Time is the measuring rod given to us by God up above. Like lines we mark on the door, we grow older and wiser as our hearts grow stronger with love. The world turns round and round while the moon fades without a sound, and the nights and days roll by, and we come back around to that sliver in the sky. Time is the measuring rod given to us by God up above. Like lines we mark on the door, we grow older and wiser as our hearts grow stronger with love. The world turns round and around while the moon fades without a sound, and the nights and days roll by, and we come back around to that sliver in the sky. Growing
Thank you so much for introducing us to that beautiful song, Roberta, and to Beth Hammond, who's a really talented songwriter. And Cantor Viva thought it would be really special to sort of invite her into our services, so to speak, at her from her CD release party. So thank you, and Shabbat Shalom to you, Roberta. Always a pleasure. Let's join our voices now together in song as we welcome this Shabbat.
These
Come with us, Lachu Naranana, come with us to sing our praises together. Lachado D is considered to be the end of a section of the service that the ancients, the mystics, would use as the high point, actually, in their welcoming of Shabbat. The moment when all of their fervent dancing and all of their singing would culminate in this moment of reception, that the Shabbat bride would enter and that they would receive her. I offer this intention for us as we consider our Lachadodi moment, welcoming one another. The B'nai Mitzvah have been hard, attempting as we do to celebrate a young person's stance on the bima, fiddling in their new shoes, but feeling ownership as we watch on. And it works over Zoom, I guess. The funerals have been harder, not celebrating a life with champagne or balloons, even the warm embrace of love and support. And a Zoom Shiva is really just not the same. But the hardest is the weddings, distanced by masks, the tears of joy streaming live. The rest of it feels canned, like we cannot really drink from the same cup. We cannot really embrace, for the invitations were lost in the mail. Aunts and uncles couldn't fly, those who needed to be there to hold up the wedding canopy, to say their prayer of gratefulness. We no longer see the bride entering the room. Only the host can mute or unmute her. But surely, when she enters, we can all try to feel that moment and exhale together. Pleasure to welcome Stephen Kofkoff and Nicole to welcome this Shabbat by lighting their candles with us. Stephen?
Great, thanks Rabbi, I appreciate it. Stephen and Nicole, as you mentioned, great to be with you all. Shabbat Shalom. Excited to light the candles with you all this evening. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We experience the joy of the Shabbat in many ways, symbolized by the sweetness of the fruit of the vine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'chata, v'atanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava u'ratzon hinchatanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh HaShabbat. L'chaim tovim.
Chaim.
Amen. So about a week ago, my 5-year-old nephew was consecrated. And this marked the beginning of his learning and his official learning in his Jewish journey. My sister said that the highlight of this distance consecration ceremony was when the kindergartners sang the Shema together. Perhaps some of you have seen a consecration over the years, and perhaps for some of you it has been for a child or a grandchild or a niece or a nephew, or perhaps it wasn't anybody you know, but perhaps you remember this moment with joy when all the kindergartners sing the Shema together. In this moment, they lift their voices together, reciting the prayer that has been so central to who we are as Jews for thousands of years. They are joining this long-lasting chain of tradition, of community, and of connection. By raising their voices together in prayer, they uplift not only themselves, but for all people who are watching them. All of us delight in the sparkle of Torah that they have worked so hard to learn. And the Shema can do this for us too. It enables us to delight in the words of Torah and in this prayer. This also links us with this long-lasting chain of tradition, of community, and of connection. We also hope that this chain will continue for many years to come and will be passed along to many further kindergartners who will do the same thing on the time of their consecration. So let us continue now with the recitation of the Shema, linking us with community and connection and togetherness. We are distant, but yet we are always connected through this prayer.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam
So tonight I want to share with you an alternative Ve'ahavta. In searching for one tonight to read, the one that I found the most meaningful was written by Marge Piercy. To me, her words encapsulate what is most important about Judaism, about Torah, and about the Ve'ahavta. She wrote these words: "You shall love what is holy with all your courage, with all your passion, with all your strength. Let the words that have come down shine in our words and our actions. We must teach our children to know and understand them. We must speak about what is good and what is holy within our homes, when we are working and when we are at play, when we lie down and when we get up. Let the work of our hands speak of goodness. Let it run in our blood. Let it glow from our doors and from our windows. We should love ourselves, for we are God. We should love our neighbors as ourselves. We should love the stranger, for we were once strangers in the land of Egypt, and we have been strangers in all lands of the world ever since. Let the love of our hearts fill with its clear, precious water. Heaven and earth observe how we cherish or spoil our world. Heaven and earth watch whether we choose life or choose death. We must choose life so our children's children may live. Be quiet and listen to that still small voice within that speaks in love. Open to that voice, hear it, heed it, work for it with life. Let us remember to strive to be good. Let us remember to find what is holy within and without. And I hope and I pray that in the next couple of weeks and months ahead, we will all be able to strive for what is good and what is holy within and without. Amen. And we turn now to our Miha Mocha, our prayer of joy, our prayer of celebration, our celebration of freedom. Our ancestors escaped from slavery and overcame many obstacles. And we too are working for a better world. We do so with the help of each other and of God. There will always be pharaohs and obstacles to overcome in our world, but we know that we can build a better world, and we can do so step by step by working together. We know we don't have to wait until all of our goals are achieved to celebrate, but like the Miha Mocha suggests, we should celebrate each victory along the way. Each victory gets us ever closer to the world that we strive to live in, the one we hope to create for ourselves and for future generations. There is so much hope and optimism and celebration in this prayer. There is so much for them and so much for us as well. So in the spirit of us ever striving for Tikkun Olam, and in the celebration of our bonds of community that link us together, we continue now with our Micha Mocha, our song, our prayer that celebrates our freedom achieved so far and the ones that we hope to achieve in the future.
In this moment, we have left the shores of the Red Sea behind us. We have turned our gaze toward the open desert. Taking those first steps with the Israelites, we wonder what will lie ahead of us, especially as the night will fall. And as the sun begins to set, we perhaps get out our supplies and consider, what did we grab in our haste to leave Egypt? With what might we build a shelter against the night? This year it felt as if my sukkah went up and came down on the same day. We opened up to Meridian Street, and it reminded me that all of God's weary travelers should feel welcome inside. Our staff stretched the boundaries of God's sukkah of peace this year, pulling leaves and string across the parking lot to include all who drive through in our warm embrace. But now the rain has washed the paper chains away. The leaves have begun their descent to the ground, and the warmth that we seek will only be found inside, where we are lucky to find companionship and the incredible strength and resolve that we offer one another in private moments, in private spaces. And we ask God to wait another moment or two before putting away her sukkah, her shelter of peace, which even though the wind pierces through its canvas walls and its rickety ceiling, it still manages to make us all feel like family. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu, offer us your shelter of peace, your Sukkat Shalom. As we strive to experience God's Sukkat Shalom, God's shelter of peace, we pause for a moment of reflection, a moment of our more personal, private prayer. This Shabbat marks the first week after the true end of the High Holy Day season, with it the festival of Simchat Torah, rejoicing with the completion of our annual reading of Torah and its renewal. In the beginning, when God began to create the heavens and the earth being unformed and void. There are so many questions that accompany this tale of the origins of humankind that every year I look with some excitement toward diving into Parshat Breshit. With its opening words of Torah, our sacred book is asking the biggest questions and posing the most satisfying answers. Our story of creation does not answer the often asked question, how did the world come to be? The steps and the stages of our development, they are better left to scientists and anthropology, and yes, even Darwin. The Torah does not refute any of them, but it does ask a different question. The Torah seeks to understand why the world was created. What was the purpose of our existence? In one chapter, Torah suggests that we are here to care for the earth and all of its creatures, to work the land and protect it, le'ovda u'lishomra. But the most compelling argument for the ancient rabbis and for us is that our responsibility and our relationship to one another is so fundamental that it might as well be our reason for being. God wanted partnership in this world, and we were created to partner with each other and with God in the completion of the work of creation. And so in chapter 1 of this work, God creates Adam from the word for earth, Adamah, an earth creature, male and female. Some have argued that this Adam must have had both male and female characteristics. But even with the assumption that two beings were created in this moment, the first human beings, and they were clearly created together, male and female, equal partners. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful, creative, expansive, enjoy the richness of this earth together and allow it to be filled with your goodness, with your kindness, with your intellect and your wisdom. Granted, a loose translation. You see, it is anything but clear that men and women were ever designed to be anything but equal partners in this world. With humanity's initiative, it became necessary at one time for women to stay home with children while men became hunter-gatherers. But this was far from some patriarchal society in which women had no say. In fact, what we grew up knowing about the dynamics of men and women were largely inaccurate at best, incomplete, and misogynistic at worst. The rabbis who first attempted to understand the Jewish legacy of Adam and Eve confronted this dilemma head-on. First and foremost, they knew the Lysistrata-style power that their own wives held over them. Time and again in Talmud, we are aware that these rabbis knew their place in the home, and it was right behind or maybe right next to their powerful wives. And that is why they wrote in their own private journal entries of the Talmud of their desire to dominate and control, to dictate the laws of the land with no limit to their authority. Even then, the men might be writing the script, but everyone knew that that movie would never be made without the women's input. In chapter 1 of Genesis, we find the greatest and most potent example played out in the rabbi's mind. Enter the character that they will call Lilith. Lilith does not appear anywhere in the Bible. She is mentioned 4 distinct times in the writings of the rabbis, and her place in Jewish folklore will become legendary, if not tragic. The well-known character of Eve, surprisingly, does not enter the story until chapter 2. The equality, which is on full display in the first chapter, is noticeably absent in the second. It's almost as if a different author with different intentions provided material in this second chapter. Here we find the familiar imagery of Eve being pulled out from the side of Adam bones of his bones, flesh of his flesh. The subjugation of women begins with this dramatic statement: she will be called woman, for she was created from man. But what happened to this mysterious story from chapter 1? The one that had both male and female created on equal footing. Well, in addition to the theory of authorship, another powerful Jewish statement is made by the earliest rabbis. In a midrash, we are told that just maybe this equal partner of Adam, the strong female presence which walked the garden before Eve, was actually Adam's first wife, Lilith. In short, the rabbis imagined that she was Adam's equal in every way, and that fact made Adam, and indeed in the story made God, uncomfortable. And they realized the trouble that they were both in, God and Adam, that is, and then they destroyed her. Or more accurately, they relegated Lilith to dark corners of rabbinic literature, where they describe her as an evil demon, capable of possessing men and seducing them and devouring them. In one story, Adam and Lilith begin to quarrel about who is superior, and Lilith utters the divine name in frustration. She flies into the air and she leaves Adam. And God sends 3 angels to bring her back, but even they are not able to fight against her strength. Lilith evolves in our tradition to become the true face of evil with wings and everything. But if we look past the rabbi's obvious distaste for her, past the exaggeration and the hyperbole, what we see is the original Jewish story of feminism. This is why the eponymous magazine chose Lilith as its figurehead. Our ancestors, when writing about interpretations of the Hebrew Bible, they chose to imagine a story in which men and women were created as equals. Ezer kenegdo, the Torah states, helpmates, who sometimes stood in opposition of one another in a healthy way. And Adam, and some say even God, weren't ready to accept the state of affairs that existed, and so Eve was born from Adam's rib. Now, there are other interpretations of the stories of Adam and Eve, explaining away the differences between chapter 1 and chapter 2. A Christian pastor once told me that the joke in his denomination was that the Bible actually didn't start until chapter 2 and the fall of man, because they weren't prepared to deal with women's equality in Torah in any form. But the Jews have always noticed, we have always worked for a time when reparations would be made for this first slight. We were supposed to be soulmates, equal partners, caring for the earth and all its creatures together. And for most of us, it doesn't even seem that much of a stretch to imagine that the point is not one man and one woman, but that the partnership might exist between them. So human beings in partnerships, gay, lesbian, straight, or non-gendered, bringing the image of God into the world through the love that they show to one another. That is our Torah. And anything less would not honor the divine spirit which inspired it in us. We must reclaim the legacy of Lilith and not allow her demonization to banish her strength, her audacity, and her will to the margins of history. If we are to embrace her humanity, created as she is in the image of God, then we need her today more than ever. Shabbat Shalom. Our service continues with a prayer for that wholeness, that completeness that we know can and does need to exist in our world. We know it most succinctly in our lives through a prayer that we might offer one another for healing, for shlemut, for wholeness, and for peace. There are those in your lives, in your circle, that we'd like to make sure we mention in this moment as we pray for healing for them. We hope that you'll add their names to the chat as we focus our attention, our positive energy, our prayers for healing to Rebecca Eilgoff, friend of Rabbi Jordanas, to Chad Lamprecht, good friend of Rabbi Roxanne and Ben Shapiro's, to Celia Katz, the mother of Mitch Katz, to Andy Reed, Fran Reed's son, to Bill Romer, still recovering from his stroke, Neil Ginsberg, who continues to heal, and Nancy Bonham, Sonia's sister, whose health we pray will be stable so that her family might have loving moments with her. In addition, I want to pray for the healing for those who we have named in the chat: Gary Harrell, Janet Stockbridge, Naomi Kaufman, Judy D. Rossman, Howard Feldman, Sheila Selleman, for Jillian Scott, Megan McLaughlin, Addie and family, for Mike, Aisha, and Zach Berman, Mike, Alicia, and Zach Berman, for Harvey Katz, Janet Strasberg, for Allie Nimitz, prayer for herself for her surgery on Wednesday. May it go smoothly, may you recover quickly. Peter Goodstein, and for all those who we mention in our hearts, carry with us. We hope that you'll join with us in this prayer for them. This will be a new melody for us as we join the prayer of Moses, praying for his sister Miriam. El na rifana la, please God, please offer them your healing.
So thank you for that very beautiful Mishabera and that really inspiring sermon, Rabbi Brett. I love this idea of empowering and appreciating the strong women who came before us, and hopefully ones we are empowering who will come after us. So it is my honor to make a couple of announcements for the congregation this evening. The first one I want to make, I hope you can see this. This is my I voted early sticker, because we went today and voted, my husband and I, and we took our kids and we went down to the Hamilton County Fairgrounds. It was so easy. It was so fast. There was a massive line there. We were really happy to see that, but even still, we got in about half an hour, and masks and hand sanitation. So we are really, really hoping to be 100% voting congregation. So please, we are really hoping that everyone goes out and votes. We are not telling you who to vote for or endorsing anything but voting. So please, please, we hope that that everyone will have an opportunity to do that really incredible civic duty that we all have the privilege and the honor to participate in. Beyond that, I just wanted to let you know about a few things that are coming up in the congregation within the next week or so. Tomorrow morning, I will be leading a Torah study. We are looking at Breshit, which was so beautifully referenced just a few minutes ago. It really is an incredible Torah portion with so very much to learn. So I hope some of you will be able to join us for that. You are all most welcome. No experience necessary. On Wednesday morning, there will also be Torah Talk. Again, a wonderful opportunity to Zoom in and learn together. So I hope you will be able to join us for some of those incredible learning opportunities. The last thing I wanted to call your attention to is next Friday, we're having a very special service. I believe our tagline is, "This is for all ages and pause." So it is Parshat Noach. So on Zoom sometime we have the opportunity to see cats or dogs or whatever. But next week we are inviting you to bring your furry friends, and we will be giving them a very special blessing. So tune in next week for that. We will also be sneaking in one of my very favorite songs about Noah's Ark. Perhaps some of you know it and enjoy it too, but it will be featured throughout this service for all ages and pause. So we hope you will be able to join us again next week. As always, it's just such a joy and a privilege to be able to celebrate Shabbat with all of you. So Shabbat Shalom. I hope it is a wonderful, wonderful week for all.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. We are a little sad that I think our Fred, who joined us in prayer this evening, but he will not be able to join us next week for a blessing. So perhaps, Rabbi Jordan, you could offer him a private blessing. I think he would appreciate it. Thank you, Rabbi Roxanne, for the priestly benediction for Fred. We want to pause here towards the end of our service to recognize that there are many reasons why we join together. There are those of us who are seeking to express the joy that we feel each and every week, the gratitude that we feel for our health, for our many blessings in life, for those who love us and surround us with their love, even if we can't be in person. There's so many blessings that we'd like to share. There are also those who are among us here who are in pain. And especially we like to think of those who have experienced loss in recent days or who are bringing loss from their lives into this space. We honor you and we see you. We recognize that there are several among us here who have experienced recent loss. We especially want to acknowledge you. And if you are here remembering somebody in particular, we feel free to add their name to the chat, and we can make sure to mention them aloud as well. Our congregational family is remembering several members taken from us during the past 30 days whose families are still in the period of Shloshim. We remember Joyce Romer, Leonard Lenny Rubenstein, Maxine Cohen, Frank Myroff, and Alan Kleinman. We add to their names those whose yahrzeits occurred this week, the anniversary of their passing. We remember Larry Becker, Pete Barenbaum, Bill Campbell, Albert Cohen, Albert Cooper, Murray Davidson, Pearl Eisenstein, Beatrix Franklin, Charles Ginsberg, Morris Glick, Ed Greenberger, David Kahn, Lena Kaplan, Millie Keller, Charlotte Klein, Pauline Kleinman, Carol Croson, Sabina Law, Alan Leff, Betty Lehner, Pat Lerman, Edward Levy, Judith Lichtenberg, Howard Lieberman, Betty Livingston, Grace Lyon, Jacob Mansbach, Anthony Michelli, Blanche Moss, Marvin Moss, Dennis Naughton, Robert Peel, Flora Peel, Arlene Pearl, Molly Regenstreif, Joseph Rubin, Simon Sculler, William Sider, Bernice Silver, Francis Slitsky, Dora Smith, Ruth Telesnik, Molly Tavel, Mitchell Thomas, Muriel Vogel, Rosalind Wechter, and Benjamin Yont Jr. We also remember those who you have listed in the chat. Nicole Melke, Shirley Aronson, Sadie Kadushin, Doug Perry, Lena Golden, Yardsite, Mike Nix. Zichronam Livracha, may their memories always be and only be for blessing. I invite you to join with me in the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, b'alma divrach yirutei b'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei tachol beit Yisrael, b'agala v'zman kari v'yimru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach la'olam u'lamei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudsha brichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushvachata v'nechamata, da'amiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'romav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. In addition to this prayer for peace for our people, we of course add a blessing, prayer for peace for all who dwell on earth with the words, Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. I invite you to share with us again. Amen. Amen. Thank you so much to my wonderful colleagues for sharing this Shabbat with us. It's truly a privilege and a pleasure. And let's sing a little bit more before I know that the Rabbi Jordana, you've got some friends there who are looking ready to bless some challah. But let's sing a bit first.
Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat
shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat shalom to the Chernow Reader household, especially to you two. Shabbat shalom.
Thank you.
Hello, Adrian and Julian.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. It is so nice to see you. And I just wanted to add, in case you don't have any live people with pots in your house, if there's special stuffed animals, those are also welcome to come for this blessing. And we would be very happy to give Fred a special blessing. So don't worry about that. That is the Krichiver family pet. And we have our challah here that we are very happy to bless. And it is so nice to bring Shabbat blessings to all of you.
Motzi lehem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise and sound together as our prayer is humbly sent. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Patsevot, everyone. Shabbat shalom.
Amen. And Shabbat shalom to you. Let's go ahead and unmute everyone. We hope you and wish one another Shabbat shalom. And Chodesh Tov. Have a wonderful month ahead.
Oh my God.
Shabbat
Get
shalom.
safe, healthy, Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, Rabbi.
Tammy. See you for a
Shalom,
while.
Susan and Jack.
Shalom, Roberta.
Shabbat Shalom.
Go.
Shabbat shalom, Rabbi.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
Rabbi, what kind of challah did you have this week?
You're asking me. This is actually an overstuffed cinnamon sugar challah. It was dripping all over my.
Like to, keep track. Was it chocolate? Was it cinnamon sugar? Was it lots of cinnamon sugar?
We're going to try some in the coming weeks.
Bring together these super spreader events.
Savory challahs in the next 2 weeks.
Shabbat shalom, Amelia.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom, Amelia.
Shabbat family.
And happy birthday to Amelia coming up.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we're going to have vaccines in the near term. And then we're going to start getting good ones. We're going to start talking about nightly.
Everybody, how many people are on?
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you for joining.
Shalom, Rabbi Roxanne.
The Simons family's here.
Hey, Mike.
Shabbat
Mike
shalom.
Shapiro.
Wonderful to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
We have to go to Indianapolis to see you in New Jersey.